Right, you lot. Buckle up because today we're diving headfirst into a world where rust is king and cobwebs are the interior decor. We're talking about abandoned vehicles and technologies, those forgotten relics of a bygone era that still hold a strange power over us. Some of these machines were marvels of their time, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Others, well, let's just say they were more ambitious than practical. But all of them have a story to tell, a tale of innovation, ambition, and sometimes spectacular failure. So grab a cuppa, settle into your armchair, and prepare to be amazed, bewildered, and maybe even a little bit horrified as we uncover the 12 most incredible abandoned vehicles and technologies. Now, some might call it a boat, but the Titanic was more like a floating city, a city that sank beneath the waves, taking with it over 1,500 souls. Tragic, really. She was the largest ship ever built at the time, a testament to human ambition and engineering prowess. They called her unsinkable, which, as we all know, didn't quite pan out. Today the Titanic rests on the ocean floor, a haunting reminder of the perils of hubris and the unforgiving nature of the sea. It's a tomb, really, a watery grave for dreams and aspirations. But even in its ruined state, the Titanic continues to fascinate us. It's a story that captures the imagination, a reminder of our own mortality and the fragility of human endeavor. And you thought parallel parking was stressful. Howard Hughes, the eccentric billionaire, decided to build a plane. Not just any plane, mind you, but a colossal beast made entirely of wood. Yes, wood. They called it the Spruce Goose, though it was actually made mostly of birch. It was supposed to be a troop transport during the war, but by the time it was finished, the war was over. The Goose only flew once, a brief hop across the water that barely got it off the ground. And there it sat, a giant wooden bird grounded by its own ambition. Today, it's a museum piece, a reminder that even the most outlandish ideas can take flight, if only for a moment, and that sometimes bigger isn't always better. Just ask anyone who's tried to parallel park a Hummer. The Cold War, a time of paranoia, suspicion, and really expensive space programs. The Soviets had their own version of the space shuttle, the Buran. It looked remarkably similar to the American shuttle, didn't it? Almost like they'd been peeking over each other's shoulders. The Buran actually flew into space, once, unmanned, before the whole Soviet Union thing went a bit pear-shaped. After that, it was left to rot in a crumbling hangar in Kazakhstan, a forgotten relic of a lost empire. Talk about adding insult to injury, it's a shame really. The Buran was a remarkable piece of engineering, a testament to the ingenuity of Soviet scientists and engineers. But like so many things from that era, it was ultimately abandoned, left to decay in the dustbin of history. A bit like my Lada, really. Ah, the DeLorean, the car that made time travel a reality, at least on the silver screen. It was the brainchild of John DeLorean, a man who dreamed of building the ultimate sports car. The DMC-12 with its gull-wing doors and stainless steel body certainly looked the part. Unfortunately, it drove about as well as a refrigerator on wheels. And the build quality? Let's just say you could practically hear the rust forming. The company went bust, and the DeLorean became a symbol of 80s excess and automotive hubris. But thanks to a certain film franchise, the car achieved a kind of cult status. Even today you can still find them, lovingly restored by enthusiasts who are either incredibly dedicated or completely bonkers. Personally, I'd rather walk. Concord. The name conjures up images of glamour, luxury, and ear-splitting sonic booms. This supersonic jet was the epitome of technological achievement, a symbol of human ingenuity and the pursuit of speed. For a brief shining moment, we could cross the Atlantic in a matter of hours, sipping champagne while the world whizzed by below. Of course, all that luxury came at a price, and not just the exorbitant ticket prices. The Concorde was a noisy beast, and its fuel consumption would make a Hummer blush. After a tragic crash and dwindling passenger numbers, the Concorde was retired, its reign as the king of the skies over. Now, these sleek birds sit idle, grounded relics of a time when we dared to dream of faster, more luxurious travel. The Hindenburg. The name itself sends shivers down your spine. This majestic airship, filled with flammable hydrogen, was supposed to revolutionize air travel. It was a luxurious way to travel, floating across the Atlantic in style and comfort. Until of course it wasn't. The Hindenburg disaster, captured in all its fiery horror on newsreels, marked the end of the airship era. The image of the airship engulfed in flames is seared into our collective memory, a stark reminder of the dangers of pushing technological boundaries too far, too fast. Today, all that remains of the Hindenburg is a charred patch of earth and a legacy of tragedy. It's a sobering reminder that even the most ambitious dreams can go up in smoke. The USS Enterprise. The name is synonymous with naval power, a symbol of American might and the indomitable spirit of the U.S. Navy. The Big E, as she was affectionately known, was one of the most decorated aircraft carriers in history. She fought valiantly in the Pacific during World War II, surviving countless battles and kamikaze attacks. After the war, the Enterprise served as a symbol of American power during the Cold War, a floating deterrent to Soviet aggression. But even the mightiest warships eventually meet their end. Attempts to preserve the Enterprise as a museum ship failed, and she was ultimately scrapped, her steel hull recycled into razor blades, I'm told. It's a sad end for such a legendary ship, but her memory, like the ghosts of her crew, continues to sail the high seas. The Ghost Fleet of the Potomac. It sounds like something out of a horror film, doesn't it? But this eerie collection of decaying ships is all too real. These are the remnants of the U.S. Navy's once mighty fleet, now rotting away in a watery graveyard. After World War I, hundreds of ships were decommissioned and towed to this quiet stretch of the Potomac River. They were supposed to be scrapped, but instead, they've been left to rot, their hulls slowly dissolving into the murky water. It's a haunting sight, these ghostly vessels, once symbols of American power, now reduced to rusting hulks. They stand as a reminder of the cost of war and the fleeting nature of even the most powerful empires. Nature, as they say, always wins in the end. The Soviet Arrano, part plane, part ship, part figment of your worst nightmares. This monstrous machine was designed to skim across the surface of the water at incredible speeds, a ground effect vehicle that defied categorization. It was the brainchild of Soviet engineers, who seemed to have a peculiar fascination with building things that were either incredibly large or incredibly strange. The Arrano was both. It looked like a giant winged leviathan, and its size alone was enough to strike fear into the hearts of NATO commanders. But despite its imposing appearance, the Arrano was plagued by technical problems and never lived up to its full potential. Today, this Cold War relic sits abandoned on a beach, slowly being reclaimed by the elements. It's a fitting end for a machine that was always more about spectacle than practicality. The Boeing 727. Once the darling of the skies, this iconic jetliner revolutionized air travel. It was the plane that made flying accessible to the masses, shrinking the world and connecting people like never before. But time, as they say, waits for no plane. As newer, more fuel-efficient aircraft took to the skies, the 727 was slowly phased out, its once familiar silhouette becoming a rarer sight. Today, thousands of 727s sit idle in aircraft boneyards, their fuselages baking in the desert sun. Some will be scrapped, their parts recycled to keep other planes flying. Others will simply sit there, slowly returning to the earth. Their journey's finally over. It's a poignant reminder that even the most iconic machines are not immune to the passage of time. The Ford Nucleon, a concept car best left in the dustbin of history. In the 1950s, Ford thought a nuclear-powered car was a brilliant idea. Yes, a nuclear reactor, in a car. What could possibly go wrong? Thankfully, it never made it past the concept stage. The lunar roving vehicle, the first, and so far only, car to be driven on the moon. Built for the Apollo missions, these electric buggies allowed astronauts to explore the lunar surface with a bit of pep in their step. Imagine the off-roading possibilities. No traffic lights, no speed cameras, just craters, dust, and the overwhelming silence of space. The lunar rovers were instrumental in gathering scientific data and expanding our understanding of the moon. But once the Apollo missions ended, the rovers were left behind, parked up on the lunar surface, their batteries long dead. They stand as silent sentinels, monuments to human ambition and our brief foray into the cosmos. One giant leap for mankind, one even bigger leap for a dune buggy. Well, there you have it, our whirlwind tour of abandoned vehicles. From the depths of the ocean to the surface of the moon, we've seen remarkable machines, each with a story. Some were triumphs, others failures, but all remind us of human ingenuity. So, next time you see a rusty old car, appreciate its history. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more amazing content.